Hi, good afternoon, Anmol.
Hi Natasha, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Anmol. A big congratulations on your GMAT 715. Do you have the breakdown of the score report in the section-wise scores? Do you remember and recall?
I think I have a picture of it. I have it on my phone.
You could just let us know here. What was your quad score like? Both
So my
percentile and this thing.
quants, yeah, so it was quant was 87,
Yeah.
94 percentile. Verbal reasoning was 85, 96th percentile, and DI was 84, 98th percentile.
Do you remember how many questions you had gotten wrong in each of these sections?
Yeah. So I think I got two wrong in verbal, three in so it's two wrong in quant, three
Quad.
in verbal, and I think two in DI.
Right, right.
Or
So,
three maybe in DI.
so how was the feeling when you saw that 715? Because it's just like a minute probably right before you
Yeah, yeah.
score in the
So,
next 24 hours.
yeah, it was a very anxious 24 hours, very honestly, like just waiting for the official score to come in.
Yeah.
But I would say I'd spoken to Sonal. I'd taken my first attempt almost 15 days prior to this one. And on that one I got a 675, and I knew I was on the right track
Right.
because I pretty much got the same scores in my verbal and quant sections, and it was DI where I struggled over there. And that was the section that I was working that I worked on for 2 weeks straight. So when I took the test, I felt very confident in my first two sections. So I went verbal, so quant, verbal, and then DI. That
Order
was
of.
how I took the test. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I felt very similar on the two of them. And with DI, I actually even surprised myself. Like I was still till the very last day, I was struggling a little bit with my timing. Like I would just have maybe a minute or so at the end, but I was able to get it done with everything pretty quickly. And yeah, it was a very surreal feeling, like just 30 seconds after you click OK, it just pops up. So I was very happy. And in fact, this was higher than any of my mock tests. Like all my mocks were capped at, I think the highest I got was a 705, and
Okay.
this was higher than that. So it was actually it was a very nice feeling. It took me a second, it took me aback, and it took me a second to just realize what happened. And then I tried not to tell anyone after I got it, just waiting for the official score. But then yeah, and when the official score came, I was very happy. So it was
Good.
a very nice feeling.
Absolutely. Even we could feel that. I mean, in the sense that when we celebrated that success, and we were like really exceptionally happy. Both Sonal, of course, yes, and then all of us in the team. Now let's just go a little back, in the
Mhm.
sense that if you could just give us an introduction about yourself, what you're currently doing. How did this
Yeah.
entire GMAT journey come into play? What was the scene like? Why did you want to consider doing an MBA at this point? And how did you meet top 1% to fulfill this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm actually right now in Kolkata. I was born and brought up here. But so about 7 years ago, when I completed my high school, I went to the US to pursue my undergrad, and I studied finance and business analytics from Indiana University.
Nice.
I graduated in 2021 and then got a full-time offer with Cummins, and I've been working with them in their finance team ever since then. I'm actually still employed with them. I'm in India because I'm waiting on my visa to renew. So till January of this year, I was in the US. I was in working from there. I came back here waiting for my visa renewal. So once that comes back, I'll head back. And so essentially, I've been working for 3 years now. And why I took the GMAT right now is because I came home, like I have the time right now, I don't have to worry about laundry or cooking or anything like that. So I had the time that I didn't over there. And through that, I was able to, to get some time out of my schedule. And the working hours that I have here are also a little weird because, and that's why wasn't able to do the live sessions, and I did the self-paced ones because I work North America hours, and I start working at say like 5, 6 p.m. and then go on like 2, 3 a.m.
Right.
And that's why like in the mornings and afternoons was where I would usually study. So yeah, and then before that, I also completed a master's in finance, but that was online. That was part-time. So did that, just to improve my acumen and my credentials. So that was me. And why MBA right now? So I feel like this is just a more natural path for me. Everyone that I've spoken to in the last year and a half has given me, as and whatever I've read, I've researched, has given me this idea that I think for me to take this next step in my career, to make the next goal, to reach that goal, I think getting an MBA is the way to get it. And I feel like maybe not if I don't apply this year, I would definitely do that the next year to get the enough to get the minimum amount of work experience required so that I'm ready for my applications and interviews and as such. So yeah, and another thing that I wanted to also look at was probably looking at career explorations.
Right.
So I've pretty much been working in finance my entire life. Like my internships was there. I had some consulting work internships early in college, but that was very minimal. And I think through an MBA, I would have that opportunity, to explore different options, see what's out there, have different experiences. Maybe that widen my horizons, see things from a different lens, and that's one of my reasons to get an MBA and why I decided to take this right now.
Right. So as soon as I'm just going back at the time when you saw the score, right?
Yeah.
What were those five schools that did you even choose those schools already, or are you
No,
still?
no, no. I'm yet to decide. So the school. Honestly, I didn't even. I do have, like, of course everyone has a dream school, and as such, I at the back of my head I always had this. These are the median scores. This is the average for all the schools, like the ones that I really want to go to. And I haven't sent my scores to any school yet, but I'm pretty sure the score would suffice for almost all of them. Yeah.
One of the things that you've highlighted, and this, I think most often I speak to a lot of students who got the score, don't think about the schools, just get done with the GMAT. And I think you'll have enough time
Yes.
about the schools later, even if you
Yeah.
just randomly give to any schools, if at all is that the choice. Now, let's just dive a little deeper into your GMAT preparation. You are a self-paced course student because of the timeline, of course. You had to
Yeah.
manage a self-paced course. Now, was there anything? How did you go about the course? How did you find the course structure? The videos and the material for each of the section? What were your challenging areas, and how did the any particular material that stood out the most to help you overcome the challenge?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Prior to joining top, I had taken a mock test, and I was standing at like a 605. So I had a very long way to go. And top was actually recommended by one of my friends who also got a really good score, Vineet Kedia, and he spoke really highly about Sandeep sir and the entire faculty that top has. And I think my main struggle areas were reading comprehension, somewhat critical reasoning, and MSR.
Right.
And MSR and two, actually, no, mostly MSR. So these were the three main topics. I feel like I'm naturally good at math, and I didn't struggle a lot with that. There was just some brush ups that I were needed. And I think the classes that we had, the recording, they completely perfectly put comprehensively covered all the topics that were needed. Like there was no extra information. That was exactly what was needed. And I did those. I watched those before every both of my attempts, and I think I was way more prepared than I needed to be. And so coming back to what really worked for me, I think two things that really helped me was Octave. And within Octave, I would say like the best thing that worked in my favor was V and E, verify and eliminate. I never thought of it that way. My entire mentality, like MCQs whenever we take in schools and colleges or whatever I took it. So like find the right answer, find the correct one. And I started seeing it from a different perspective after listening to all of Sir's classes and reading the manual that he'd given. And so instead of finding the right answer, I started eliminating the wrong ones at the first go, and then every answer choice instead of five, I would just come down to three, sorry, two or even one. Like I'll just eliminate three or four every single time, and that was the answer. So I think that really really helped me because I feel English, though, is a first language for me. It wasn't my strongest suit. And I did struggle a little bit just because of the complexity of the passages and the way the questions are structured. So it did, but then just practicing this over and over again, that framework really like keeping it at the back of my mind that, okay, what's the tone? Where the contradiction words? What's the opinion? Is there any opinion? So that really, I feel like now, even if I'm reading anything, it just stays there in the back of my mind. So that really helped me, get the answers correct, and B, get it correct in a very short time. I think this time around I had the most amount of time after completing all my questions in verbal reasoning. Like I had so much time spent, and prior to that, like I feel like I was struggling to even get all the questions done in on time for that section. So that really helped me. And then apart from that, I would also say like the conditional reasoning prompt, I think that I don't think I got more than one question on it, but that instilled a certain way of thinking that I think translated into not just helping me in verbal, but also in quant and also in data insights. So I think that, the way you start thinking about it, like this, if not this, then this not like this, those things, it's the logical reasoning that goes behind it that I think helped me in different aspects that weren't directly covered in the topic. So those were the two that I think really stood out for me. And then I feel also the portal that you have, that's absolutely amazing. Like I feel I used to do it religiously, and that covered everything. I feel I ended the I think an 8 or 9 mock tests in that full length mock tests. Doing those instilled so much confidence in me that I knew, like, as soon as I would I would complete a section, I would know, okay, this is something where I struggled in, and I would know like what I would do wrong, and then I could go and correct it. So I think that was really nice, and the long sitting sections that really built on stamina, because I think what had happened with me earlier was that I would I think I had my concepts clear, but then it was the practice and the thing of doing it, constantly for 3 hours, so 2.5 hours, sitting there and taking all the questions. That, was something that I was not very sharp at, or what I was very strong at. And, doing the 100 questions in a stretch, or like 15 passages, and then answering those questions, that really helped me build that stamina and just, sit down on my desk, concentrate, and work on those questions. So yeah, those were things that, really helped me.
So there are a
And I
couple
think
of
if you do it
questions.
for a long period of time continuously, you also come to realize where is it that you're facing a problem. That
Yeah.
just comes right on your face when you sit with the long sitting hours, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely.
There's a couple of questions that I would like to ask. I mean, this is just very personal to you. When you spoke about the fact that, you never thought of approaching a given question. Initial thought was, let me see what is the right answer, and then now you're trying to verify and eliminate. Now, if you just take that equation out in your personal or your professional life, did you see yourself? Because a lot of people do say that, I have to apply that in my real life situation or in my professional life situation. Because this is also another acumen, we could just say, problem solving skill that comes, and you would see yourself do that more on your when given options, right? You would see yourself doing that. Were you aware of any such situation during your preparation that you were applying in any other aspects?
Yeah, I think now that I think of it subconsciously, I think I've done it a couple of times. One time that I can think of is, just like I was speaking to a few colleagues on what are the different ways to do it. And yeah, just like we had a few options that there, and instead of just seeing, what is the best way of doing it, like I started thinking of it backwards and looking at it from that side, that okay, what could potentially be wrong with this, and finding the solution with gave us the least amount of problem, minimize any risk, and so it helped me think of and look of things that from that side, because that was one side that I feel like helped me personally. Just an example of, like, how I think that translated from just doing reading comprehensions and CR questions to something more practical in my life.
Yeah. It's just not an exam to prepare for GMAT, but a real world
Yeah.
real-time problem.
For sure, yes, absolutely, yeah.
So the next question is, of course, you talked about practice and the number of hours. How many hours per day did you really spend every single day? Was there any break in your preparation? And more
Mhm.
importantly, if you go back and see, how many questions have you solved overall or practiced overall for each of the section? Like, what's the number there?
That's a
Just
tough question.
vast, right? The entire content is
Yeah.
vast. I'm sure you would have either done it all or you've done a segment of it. So just wanted to know, because then it'll
Mhm.
give us some kind of a measurement that, how far or how close are we to this kind of a score?
No, yeah, absolutely. So I think I took 5 months in total, like if I would think like from the day I started till last Monday.
Yeah, 14
But
February.
yeah. Although I did have like a break in the middle, I would say almost month and a half from Feb all the way up until early April. Like I had some things that with my family going on, and because of that it was just on and off, on and off. But then I think it was since April I started giving it all. And I would, on average, I would make sure to do not go more than one day in a row without any preparation.
There you go.
So every week I would have, if not every day, like I would be preparing for at least 5 or 6 days that week. And weekdays probably a couple of hours, maybe 3 hours, going through different modules or going through different lectures, just doing some practice questions. And then on weekends maybe a little more, just depending on how my timeline was and how my schedule was. And so, having done that, I think I completed all of the 700, 800 CR question PDF. I completed all of the RC ones as well. I completed all of RC ones. And I did do, I think I would say almost 85 to maybe 90% of the quant PDF that we had. And this is along with all of the questions that are in the OG books. So the
Right.
links that are there. So I think those were it. And then one of the resources that I found quite helpful was GMAT Club.
Right.
So any section that I felt particularly vulnerable at or something that really need to work on, I would just go there and hammer down that part. Like I would filter out for say probabilities or combination permutations and do maybe 2 straight days of just practicing those to, get the things cemented in my head and do that. So that was it. And then I think sir brought it up very well that DI should be done right at the end because it basically is a combination of the first two sections. And that really helped because when I wasn't very confident, like MSR was completely new to me. And then the two answer part was also really two-part answer was also very new to me. But when I did all of that and when I was comfortable with Octave, then I came back to this, did all the modules from on the portal for these two. And I think there are a lot of sectional mock tests for DI in the portal, like the pre-work, the post-work, and then those really helped me because I think everything that was covered over there was more than enough for anyone needed. So I think those were primarily what I needed. I did use GMAT Club for MSR and two-part analysis questions a little more because I wasn't very confident on that. But I think those were the ways that I did it. And I think that's pretty much more than enough because I did reach a point where I feel like I had the concepts ready, but I was a little afraid of taking the test. So I was just practicing over and over again. And I had to snap out of that. So then I realized, okay, now that's the time to start taking mock tests. And that was about say like June-ish is when I started looking at that and okay, like, yeah, instead of just practicing questions, I need to start taking more mocks and getting an idea of it.
Overall, you would have, at least let's say for us, you would have solved more than 200 passages or easily or
yes. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, 250 passages around.
And CR would be
And then,
CR would be what 350, 400 questions? Or
yeah, I would say 450, yeah. So about
Right.
700-800 combined for both of them.
Right.
And honestly, a lot more for verbal. Like I think I did sorry, not for quant. I think I did like maybe 700-800 just in quant.
So that's the volume that is required to really practice. Because then I think what you mentioned that even at the end of like when you're giving mocks or even the exam, you'll still be like, maybe I'll get that score, maybe I'll not get that score. But the practice, what you have in your muscle memory will get you through.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. So, in terms of one last question before we talk about the exam experience, is that you took a self-paced course. What kept you motivated every single day? I know you said that, you didn't give like, you were very clear that even don't take a break even one day. What made you do so? Because we tell you that, right? Then a lot of people will be like learning from the experience, worst thing. And so what kept you motivated every single day to make sure that you get through? There were a lot of personal challenges, like you said, professionally, you were also aligned towards another zone of preparation. So how did you get through this phase?
Yeah, very honestly, I think part of it did come from Sandeep sir, and then I would see Sonal ma'am, your posts and stories on WhatsApp ever so frequently. And when you see those, like you either get, you get a little demoted, like, oh my God, people are getting this, how can I ever get this? Or you get a little motivated. And I think I got the latter from that. I saw those and I was like, okay, if people can get it. And I would hear Sandeep sir, I think there was Thursdays with Sandeep, he had those sessions. I would log into that and see those and then hear him talk about how one score can literally change your life and take you from where you are to places where you never thought you would be. So those are things that really helped me. And I think for me as well, there was some personal motivation I have within myself where I knew this is something that I've been thinking about for a year. I've dedicated this amount of time, 4 or 5 months, not doing anything, just preparing for that. So that's the time that I've spent on it when I could have been doing something else. And I wanted to make the most out of it and get the most out of that. So I think that was there. And there's a big part played by my family as well. Like they were very supportive of it. They, when I used to cry, I used to cry like, oh my God, I'm just stuck, I'm plateaued, like I don't know what I'm doing. They would tell me what the end goal is, see where you could be, where you can go. And so I think it was a combination of these three that really helped me. But I would really like something that really worked for me was the emails that you guys sent out and so ma'am, your stories. Like they really kept me on top of it, that okay, this is possible. Like it's not unheard of. It's not a myth. Like if people who are doing the same thing that I'm doing, like studying the same material that I'm studying, they can get it. I think so can I. So that really helped me push through it and get to where I am
I think
And I
so.
think it's a two-way thing, because the way you get motivated when you say that statement, we also get motivated to keep posting things which help you
But,
every
but
day.
but that validates what we are doing also. The
Yeah,
entire
Absolutely,
idea of
absolutely.
us posting is to not show who we are and what we do, but
yeah,
rather
yeah.
what you can do. And sometimes
Absolutely.
you never get an opportunity to talk unless you tell what is the problem. And this is like the unsaid said conversation, saying that, if there's something that is stuck, we are here. But then look, you can just look at someone who's just like you, and you're one example as well. It just feels so proud. One of the things is that people do come with the self-realization, but it just gets away, at some
Yeah, yeah.
point, this is what I want to do, I get stuck. Then there's sometimes very rarely a situation when family or because then we come from we don't come from an Indian a culture where at work they don't support you to yes, go do that or be this, be that.
Yeah,
So it becomes very difficult. People are hiding from that fact. So you did have a support from that, but this bit of information that you said, the status really helped, at least from our side. We are doing
Yeah.
this.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. No,
So
no,
that
I
really
would really,
validates
really
what we
Yeah.
are doing. Thank you so much for sharing. Now let's go straight on the exam day.
Mhm.
You've already mentioned the order of your exam topics.
Yeah.
Also, you took quant first, verbal, and then you took a break in DI, right?
Yes.
And that was even the strength of your. It was based on the strength of your sections. Like you were stronger in. You say something
Yeah.
else?
No, actually, I think my scores, I don't think they reflect what I think what were my strengths.
Right.
And I feel like I was not the most confident. Like out of the three, I was probably, if I had to say, I was the strongest in quant, and then verbal and DI were probably the same. But I think verbal was a little stronger for me towards the end. But I felt like this was a good format for me to follow, because it just gave me time to settle in with the first, like, there's always this anxiety, this anxiousness that comes when you first take this test. And then, like, with verbal, I knew that that there were a few questions that I could easily handle, and then that would just calm me down. And then right after that, take me to so with quant, that would happen, and that would take me to verbal. And I realized, for me, I did experiment a little bit with what to do. So I switched DI and verbal, so I would do quant, DI, and verbal. But for me, that I realized, when I started preparing, that exam fatigue started affecting me a little much.
Right.
And yeah, the first couple of times I did that, it affected my verbal score. And I wasn't like, even though I wasn't like from 100%, I came back like, I wasn't down to like 60%, I was still at 95%. But I realized I had a better grasp on all of this for DI than I would have for verbal. That's why I put verbal in the middle, right after quant. And then like DI towards the end with after the break.
Right. So, two questions here. Did you run out of time in any of the sections, and if yes, which section, or were you, or else did you complete within time or much before the time runs out? How was
Yeah,
this pacing?
Yeah, so the first attempt that I had when I got a 675, that was exactly what happened. I did well on quant and verbal, and I was on track. I was very confident on the way I started DI, and then the last five questions, six questions maybe, I just dropped the ball with the time. I spent 15 minutes in three questions, and that just threw me off my game. And so that was something that I really struggled with, and I spoke to Sonal ma'am about that as well. Then I started preparing on that. But on that test, on my final one, I think I I had 3 minutes left for verbal. I completed with maybe 30 seconds left for quant. And with DI, in fact, I had almost two and a half, 3 minutes. And this is after like, going back and checking, reviewing three questions, making an edit to one, and doing all of that. So I think pace-wise, I was able to get through all of these questions, all of the sections fairly well,
Right.
and
I
fairly
think
comfortable. Yeah.
in the last few, I mean, all the scorers, they've been speaking especially about the DI, where the
Yeah.
last five questions get dropped out because there's one question somewhere in the last sixth to this, maybe 14th or 15th question that it's
Yeah.
very long and you get stuck, and then the entire time runs out. And fairly, the last few questions are very easy to look at, but you don't have the time. So
Don't
I
have.
we've got that, and what Sir is also trying to do is he's going to be, doing some sessions, extra sessions, just so that the test takers gets that out of the mind. I think that would be very helpful. These are based on
Yeah.
all the experiences that you guys are sharing.
Yeah.
So
I
so
think so.
yeah,
So one point, Natasha, I would want to bring up. One thing that also helped me a lot is being okay with not uh, being okay with skipping a question.
right,
I did that, and that I did exactly that on my this attempt, and that saved. I think that saved my score by a lot by towards the end, because I was able to come back to it when I had 7 minutes left. I spent like 3.5, 4 minutes on it, and then I was able to get through all of the questions fairly easily. So I was not very, I think it's just built in us, like you want to do all the questions, get all of them done before skipping. But I think the ability to come back and edit a question, look back at it, I think that really helps you, and being okay with that fact, that I can come back to this question and look at it and applying that in the testing. I think that was also one skill that,
That's
I
a
was
very
able
good
to
addition in this new GMAT focus edition because it was not there earlier.
It was
So
not there, yeah.
a focus edition that you can actually leave a question and then try and reattempt it later on.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
an
And yeah,
that's an
yeah, being
addition.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Anmol, you had taken the strategy call, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Was it helpful?
exactly.
Like, how was your experience with the strategy call?
And in that call, I was told it's okay to skip that question.
The exit
Yeah, skip
strategy
that
is what I
question.
would say. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was one of the things that gets added to the exit strategy. So one last thing about the exam before we talk more about the doubts and strategies. Was there any question that seemed out of, like, you didn't see ever, or was something that shocked you, or were you fairly familiar with everything that was there?
I think apart from the fact that, they use weird and new graphs every time, I don't think there was anything new. I feel like all the concepts, every question type was covered, not exactly how it is, but some version of it was definitely covered in all of my preparations. So nothing really surprised me. Just new sorts of graphs that I've never seen before.
Perfect.
That's just the only thing. Yeah.
Perfect. That makes at least any test taker look at an exam a lot more relaxed than it should. Otherwise, people really dread to. One of the things that I wanted to also, like what Sunil touched base, is on that the self-paced scores. A lot of people, they'll go for whatever reasons, just like you did, but then they have a lot of apprehension. My doubts, my questions, my queries. How is it getting solved? So, how did you find? Did you find the need to ask doubts? If yes, how was it solved? How would you kind of just give a feedback of the doubt support and the strategy call that you've been able to be a part of?
Yeah, honestly, I think every question that I got wrong, every question that I had a doubt on, there was not just one, maybe two, three answers and explanations to all of that in all of the solution documents. And for 99% of the questions, that was more than enough. Like they're very comprehensive, be it quant, be it verbal, be it DI. They're very comprehensive. And along with that, like if I saw like, I was getting 2 or 3 bold-faced questions wrong, then I would go back and watch the videos, go through the texts, and then come back to the questions again. And I think the solutions provided, they were excellent, very comprehensive, very detailed. And whenever I think I maybe emailed a couple of times for questions where I provided details of what I had and what my reason was. And with 48 hours within that, no, sorry, not even 24 hours, I got my answer. And and I didn't have any questions after that. Like
After
it
that,
was
very
completely, yeah, it was completely it cleared all my doubts, and I walked out smiling. So yeah,
if you have to summarize, right, I feel like
yeah.
you've just done what sir has asked you to do, and you've really nailed that, and that's all that's required. You have to study
Yeah.
this, to practice this, you followed it religiously. But if it's something that you would have to add more to what sir is saying, based on your experience, be it even follow the same thing what sir says, what are the
Yeah.
do's and the don'ts that you would say any student who's just starting out, or maybe is in the middle of the preparation, any preparation, be it with us or any other, what would you say, do's and don'ts?
Yeah, one of the biggest do's I think was consistency for me. I think that really helped with me, because early on when I started, I took a few breaks, like 2 or 3 days out, and I would see that okay, I'm not even starting at scratch, like I've gone back 2 steps back.
Right.
So just doing some things consistently and having some sort of schedule that you stick to and stick to religiously for it's not even 4 months. Like I think that was something that really helped me. And then also um timing myself. That was a big thing, because I realized I was a little late to it when I was going through the guide, when I should time myself. I focused a lot more on getting all the questions right, but I didn't I think I was a little late on how to do it efficiently. But when I started doing that, I realized, okay, this is why, sir says verify and eliminate, and why, you don't just look for the right answers. So timing, I think when I started doing that, all of my questions, like I had my timer on my laptop all the time, where I had like a minute, 90 seconds, whatever needed for whatever question, and I would work on that. So that was also a big thing that really helped me. And of course, like everything that sir said has been absolutely like on point. It has been really helpful, and that's worked out. I'm very honestly saying I was not expecting this score. I didn't reach this score in any of my mocks, so it was a big surprise when I got it, and a very pleasant one. So I was very happy with that.
Super. So, like, as much as you're happy, we are extremely proud and happy as well. Although sir is taking class today, I would, take this opportunity to congratulate on his behalf. Extremely, extremely proud. And, it feels like you are validating him in what he's doing and he's teaching. But thank you so much for sharing all these. This has been absolutely delightful. Thank you for joining me and
Yeah.
Sonal today. Is there anything, Sonal, you would like to share and speak?
No, I would just say that I was very proud of you when you had scored 675 also, and that's what word we have then. Super, super proud of you now also, and just keep looking forward. Have faith on yourself. You've come, how brilliantly you've done this also. Whatever university you want to get, and you will be able to get, and just have faith on yourself. And we are very proud of you, and stay connected. We're looking forward to, see you grow.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Thank you for all the resources. You guys have been absolutely phenomenal. It's been an amazing journey.
And it's very nice to speak to you like this. We've been in since.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. Really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you.
Okay,
All.
bye-bye.
Have a lovely day. Bye. Take care.